Hey, I'm in the home services industry. I'm the CFO. We have 200 people in 50 million, 50 million in revenue. My question is, how can we transition our controller out of her role, given her 20 years of managing all the cash and her deep process level knowledge of the business? I joined a year ago, and I respect her tenure. I've communicated that to her. However, over that year, she's been unwilling or unable to transition from the cash accounting to accrual accounting, and we've been forced to build our business processes around her. Recently, in the past 3 months, we've started to raise the bar of what we're needing out of this role. She's become, bitter, and tensions are pretty high right now. She does retain control of the bank accounts, the account logins, and she's the business processes, and she's been reluctant to share that information. In the future, we plan to design the role to reduce relying on just one person, but we need a smooth transition to avoid a major business disruption.
Okay. Well, I think you and I can both agree that this was set up poorly, that you should never have a single person that has exclusive access. I mean, God, if she got hit in a car wreck, y'all be screwed.
I think so.
No, I know so. You said passwords, signatures on the accounts, account access, right?
We've moved over a couple of those pieces.
But I mean, you said she's the sole holder of some of them, right?
Of one of the bank accounts, yes. Some we've moved away, and she can no longer. So the signer, she's not signer anymore, thankfully. But still, too much sits in her sole control.
What? One bank account?
The primary bank account, access to it, definitely the process level knowledge of these vendors send us this cash, we apply it to these accounts. With the exception of the CEO who's been with the company for a long period of time, she's the only one who really knows and runs that process.
Okay. We can figure those processes out if she walked out the door tomorrow or got hit by a car. We cannot deal with the bank account access being a solo person in a $50 million company for even 24 hours. That is just not okay.
Yes, sir.
Has nothing to do with the fact she's not working out. If she was the dream team member, no one needs to have sole access because it's too much risk for you guys. Again, yes. the proverbial milk truck catches her, you're screwed. So it's just, you've set this up from a financial standpoint, and you'll understand this, and you already do. That's why you're calling. But there's no diversification here, so there's no safety. You need some redundancy in these systems, and that's just good. That's just good systems and processes that you guys have got to install. So the fact that she's being a butt or being hard to work with has just highlighted what was already horrible. Okay?
Correct.
So if I'm you, I'm going to get the CEO and I'm going to sit down with her tomorrow and say, I need for the next hour, we're going to sit down here and we're going to make a transition to where, in addition to you having the password and the access to this account, the CEO and the CFO also have the password and the access to this account. We're not leaving this room until that happens.
Okay.
It's too much risk. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
And there's 6 vendors that I'm concerned about, and I need to know what those processes are, and I need to know what that is before you leave this room. And it's not because I'm mad at you. It's because we've realized that it's too scary for one single person to be the only person that has this information. If something happened to you, it would shut down our business, and that's not okay. And then we can, as a sidebar, we can deal with her attitude and whether or not she gets to stay. But those are separate issues. I'm not getting rid of her because of that. You guys caused that. I'm not going to get rid of her because she has sole access. But I would get rid of her for being a butt. I would get rid of her for not transitioning and not being willing to move to accrual from cash. That's what we announced as a company we're doing. And if you want to be a we, that's what you got to do. You don't run your own country here. You're not the president. You're the controller. So, we made a decision, we're moving to accrual. I hope you like it. If you don't, then you probably need to go somewhere where they do cash. That's a different discussion. And we made a decision, we don't work with people who are bitter and angry. And so you need to leave that at the door because we don't do that here. So if you can't do those two things, then you can't stay. But that's a separate issue. Those are her fault. The fact that she is the sole controller of all of this and the queen bee is because somebody gave her those keys, and and that was dumb.
That's on us for setting up that process incorrectly.
Exactly.
Way back at the beginning, 20 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. You weren't there, but the CEO or the owner or whatever, and it turned into a monster. And this is how bureaucrats are made, right?
Yes. Yep.
And so, I think you already were onto something and you're doing that. But what I would do from an emotional standpoint is I want to separate the mistakes that the original leadership team made from the mistakes that she's making.
Would you call those out in the same conversation, or would you get the one big rock taken care of? And then
the first thing is to say, I would bring her in the morning tomorrow, with the CEO and you in the room. And I am literally not moving the room. We're going to get the bank on the phone, and we're going to start sending emails back and forth with the bank, and we're going to do DocuSign, and we're putting some other signatures and developing some other passwords for the stinking account right now. And the way I would handle that conversation is I would say, okay, you have been fabulous for 20 years up to this point, and but as we have looked at this, we have made a huge mistake by having one single person in charge of something, because if something were to happen to you, we'd be messed up. And I'm so sorry we made that mistake. And it's going to cause us some discomfort here for the next couple of hours, because we're going to rectify that mistake before lunch.
And clarifying, this was not on you. You did not do this, but however,
I would apologize. I'd say, I'm sorry for this awkwardness. It's not your fault. You didn't cause it. She didn't steal this and capture it and keep anybody from it and hold it secret, or she probably protected it like any good bureaucrat would. But then once I get all that stuff moved, now you're not held hostage to firing her.
Yes, that's absolutely how I've been feeling. Yep.
Yeah, and you can't be blackmailed in your own mind. She hasn't done that, but in your own mind, you're like, God, if I get rid of her, I'm screwed. So you don't right up on a holiday do both things if you got a holiday or a vacation in front of you. Let's take care of our problem first. Then it allows us to be a little bit more gentle and grace-filled and give it a couple of weeks to start dealing with the attitude and the cash basis and the bitterness and all that kind of stuff. And, and what I would do is try to explain to her why accrual is a superior system in the way our business operates and the size our business is. And by the way, at $50 million, the IRS requires it.
Yes.
You don't have a choice.
Right.
It's the only way you have to do accrual accounting. If you want to run a cash flow, cash basis hybrid accounting system, you can, but you have to do your taxes based on accrual.
To me, it's been amazing that you're obviously a very successful business. The father and son have built it up. It's incredible that they got this far on the cash basis. It's a much needed transition.
I personally love cash basis because we're not ever confused about where the money is. But accrual has its advantages and is a more sophisticated methodology. But you have to get your head around how it works as a primitive entrepreneur like those guys and me. In order to get that, I resisted it too. But we have been on accrual for 20 years, and so I've learned to read it better. But also, it has huge advantages on inventory issues and other things. So all of that to say, I would explain to her why we're doing it. A, the IRS requires accrual accounting. B, here's how it works to our benefit to have these reports done this way, and accrual spits those reports out that way on our KPIs and on our other things. So this is why we're moving to accrual. It's not to punish somebody. And so I'm going to help you learn it if you want to learn it. You've been here 20 years. I want to honor that. If you don't want to learn it and you want to leave, well, let's talk about a severance plan. You've earned it. You're a wonderful person. I'm not mad at you. But we're doing accrual. We're no longer doing cash basis. And we're also going to be happy about it. But I would separate the two, and then I would separate the two conversations by at least 2 weeks. But 24 hours from today, by lunch, I will have passwords and multiple accesses to bank accounts and multiple people understanding vendor allocations and what bucket that money goes in and how we put it in the chart of accounts and whatever it is that she has the singular set of knowledge on. And never again build a system that has a singular set of knowledge. Never. If there's only one person knows how to turn on the lights and they leave, it's going to be dark. It's a problem. So yeah, that's just, oh man. And you feel like you're held hostage. So it's good. Really good question, Emery. Thank you for calling in and participating with us. We appreciate it.